Oh, you were talking to someone else?
Yeah, I was talking to my son. He showed me a dreidel and I didn't know what it was. And I said he's like, "Can we play with this tomorrow?" And I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "A Jewish thing."
Damn. You're teaching him the anti-Semitic ways well, it would seem.
Yeah. You gotta introduce him to it first before you rip it down. So yeah. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm a little bit annoyed with you, to be honest, so we can just hop straight into it.
Sure.
Um, I just want to understand something. So I tell you
Mm-hmm.
what, I've written down, what you said in the clip, okay?
Sure.
But I guess in order to make it fairer for you, what were you trying to say? What were you saying? What did you say the other day when you were talking about my position on Lolicon and my audience?
Yeah. So what I would say is that the content that I consumed around this drama was the Queeman series of videos. I think
Right.
I followed him a while ago for one of his drama breakdowns. He's following in Daddy's footsteps. And I, rightly or wrongly, associate Queeman with your community. I view him as, rightly or wrongly, one of the spicy chatters, which I view as a community that's been fostered. Maybe it's a community within a community, but it's a part of
Okay.
your community, yeah? Uh-huh. Go ahead.
I just don't understand what this has got to do with what I asked.
Okay.
What I
Well,
said
hold
was
on
very
one
simple.
second.
Okay.
This might legitimately be important. Can I have 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Yeah, hi sir.
Go off,
How are you?
Chud.
I'm
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to poison the well, okay? Hey, oh my dog. Thank you for the 420. It's fine. It's not a problem. People have to take a call. I'm not. Listen. He did. I did get. I got a little bro. We'll talk about something else while we're waiting. I'm not looking to burn any bridges. I've always gotten on fairly well with Counterpoints, so I've always defended him when he deserves it. I mean, to be honest with you, I've not really spoken about him or looked at his stuff for ages, so. It's a power move. Oh. Calling him walk up to his face. I mean, that was a moment of exuberance. I'm sure we can get into that and we can see what he thinks about it. But I'm looking to, I swear to God, he's like, oh, I've got to go. I've got to go now. Sorry. Something's come up. I have to take a rain check. Well, actually, I don't want to. We need to be careful. We don't want lip reading going on. Oh, hey, Granite Lounge. Oh,
sorry about that. It's a medical thing. So
okay, right. Let me just ask a question
ask your
again.
question
Okay,
directly and I'll try to answer it directly.
so not what
Your
did you?
take on Lolicon?
Yeah, how did you present it on stream the other day? What did you say?
Okay. My perception of your take on Lolicon, what I believe I said before, is the fact that you seemed ambivalent. So when you were you were talking about the food shops drama,
Mhm.
you were saying, I am going to actively choose not to associate with this person.
Yeah.
If somebody asks me about it, I am going to tell them that, what's going on. That way they can make an educated choice about whether or not they want to associate with that person. And I'm not going to moral frog about it, but it's not something that I'm going to deal with.
Okay. And
Is
what
that
did?
not accurate?
Um. Well, there's another aspect I think that you're missing from this. Like, okay, I'll
Well,
ask
it
it like
was from
this.
a clip from one of your opponents, so I'm not surprised.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You looked at a clip
Mhm.
in another video, and then you saw fit to go on your stream and give this kind of comment about what I thought about things, even though you'd only seen a clip.
Yep, and you and Queeman are the same person, so yeah, I conflated your perspectives together.
Okay, I mean that sounds like something Hassan would do. I'm assuming you're kind
Sure.
of critical of Hassan for his kind of instincts
Do
to
you
do
think
that sort of thing.
do you think I'm serious when I literally say that you and Queeman are the same person?
No, I'm talking about your basing like a comment, which is about a fairly like serious topic on a short clip that you've seen of me, and you've made a lot
Well,
of
I would love to hear
assumptions.
your well, let's see how much we align. What's your Lolicon take?
Well, I would have thought you'd have known a lot more closely, considering you were speaking about it on stream.
Your exact this is kind of funny because like your exact response to this entire drama was who mega lol.
Yes.
So do you know? Have you been tracking the drama? Have you been watching the content?
Yeah, I've got a fairly good grasp on what's happened.
Okay, I watched like 11 hours of content, but if I
Right.
let's go ahead and let's
listen,
pretend.
all I'm going to say, mate, is
your
listen.
perspective. Let's humor your perspective. Let's humor your perspective. If I wanted to find Chud Logic's take on Lolicon, do you have a dedicated video?
No, it was never turned into a dedicated video.
If I go to google.com and I type in Chud Logic's perspective on Lolicon, do you think I'll find something?
No, but what I'm saying is, you
Okay,
based
so
it
how
on
would I research it? If you're comparing me to Hassan, then you know how would I have researched Chud Logic's perspective on Lolicon besides the clips that I saw?
Well,
that
I'm
were
not saying
relevant to
that
this
I'm not
drama?
saying that you've got to research it, but I'm saying that before you go on stream and say,
Well, you just said
not
aren't
willing,
you
whoa.
aren't you critical? Sorry, go ahead. And by the way, I'm
Oh.
sparring because you came in a little sparry, a little jabby, so
Yeah,
I'm jabbing back.
That's fine
all that's
because I'm
going
annoyed
on.
with you. Let me explain it to you. So
Sure.
what you said was that I'm not willing to make a firm
Uh-huh.
critique about whether or not consumption of Lolicon would be something I'd morally object to. And then you said I
Mhm.
wouldn't associate with it for whatever fucking reason, acting like it was completely impossible to figure out why I might not want to associate with it. And then you went on to say that I think people in my audience consume Lolicon, and that's why I'm unwilling to criticize it.
That might have been a little bit of a jump, but I can rationalize it. So
okay, well,
what
don't
I would
rationalize it yet. All I'm saying is that
Mhm.
the fact that you were willing to make these claims about my views without meaningfully finding out about it is insane. And you don't even have to research it.
Are
but
you not a
shouldn't fucking...
content nihilist?
What do you mean? What has that got to do with anything? Even
You
if I
have
am.
said 10,000 fucking times over and over and over and over again that you don't give a fuck about any of this shit. You don't think that it actually impacts anybody's lives meaningfully, that the opinions espoused on Twitch and YouTube politics is a bunch of fucking intellectual jagoffs fucking jerking each other off, and the only thing that is worthwhile taking out of it is the drama between personalities, and that this actually doesn't affect anybody at all. I've heard that 10,000 times from you, and I've heard it echoed from Queeman almost verbatim.
Okay, I don't give a shit about what Queeman's perspective is on this. This is about my perspective, okay?
Yeah, which is funny because that's like, it kind of feeds back into the content nihilism, but I'll happily listen to what you got to say.
Do you think that when I talk about the fact that I'm skeptical about the gains politically that can come from this space and stuff like that, do you think that I'm saying you can just say whatever the fuck you want about what someone said, even if it's inaccurate? Do you think that's what I mean?
No, I think you're saying that it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, but even if it doesn't matter, right, in terms of like achieving a political goal or some greater thing happening, do you not think it's like fairly reasonable that I'm a bit annoyed that you've made a comment about Lolicon when I'm a father and acted like I'm ambivalent towards it and that I'm unwilling to criticize because people in my audience consume it? That's like fairly reasonable to be annoyed about, even if I'm a content nihilist, as you claim, surely.
Well, you can be more than, you can be more than annoyed about it, but that's the whole point is I say something, you're fucking annoyed by it, we fucking hash it out.
Okay. I just think that, you know, I would do the courtesy of if I was going to comment on your opinion on something, I would try my best to show what you say about it specifically or accurately relay what you think. And I just feel like you've not done that to me.
Yeah, can I show?
Well, it exists. I mean, obviously it's not a edited video. It was on a stream somewhere. I didn't even know where it was to make the
No.
video now.
I'm not even talking about that clip. I'm talking about like whether or not the reason why I thought your ambivalence stemmed from not wanting to moral frog to your audience that might piss some of them off.
Okay, it's the thing is you're misunderstanding like the reason that I may have seemed ambivalent or I said something along the lines of I'm not the moral police.
And I substantiate that some people in your audience might consume Lolicon.
Well, I can accept that. That's true. Sure, of course. but I don't know how you get to the idea that I'm willing to criticize it, especially because I did criticize it. But even if I hadn't, the idea that because people
Okay,
in my
so
audience
let's get there, because I haven't seen that myself. I've seen your content nihilism. I've seen somebody who came out of your community who was echoing your content nihilism. I was also seeing them saying that they weren't going to moral frog about Lolicon because ultimately they don't care and they're ambivalent about it. They don't give a fuck. And
Okay.
then I saw that paired with one of your clips that's basically saying like, listen, I'm not going to associate with it, but if somebody else does, I'm not really going to morally condemn them. I'm not going to freak out about it, whatever, whatever. And then on top of that, the allegation from that person, you know, who rightly or wrongly I'm associating with you, is the fact that there are diehard
wrongly.
prudish. Hold on.
Okay, go on.
There are diehard prudish people in Spicy Chat who are taking a huge shit on food shops because they think that Lolicon is degenerate child pornography. And then there's other people who are like, I don't see what the big deal is. And those are active parts of your community.
But wait. Someone thinking it's not a big deal is different to someone who is actually consuming Lolicon. Someone can think it's not a big deal and not be in anywhere pedo. They just got a different perspective on it, you know? But you said that people in my audience consume Lolicon, and that's why I'm not willing to criticize it.
Yeah, I would say that if you spend, because my instinct, I'll just tell you my instinct, even though I haven't done it. I've been touching this, or I haven't been touching this drama with a fucking 10-foot pole, because ultimately if retarded degenerate Twitch and YouTube pole fucking streamers do retarded degenerate shit, that's a fucking Tuesday, right? So like, why, you know, I'm not going to freak out about the entirety of the situation. But if I was to be involved in this situation, I would go on a 5 to, and I've thought about doing this, I just didn't want to make the situation worse. I would go on a 5 to 20 minute tirade articulating why I think that there isn't that much of a moral difference between Lolicon and actual CP. Maybe there is in the harm done in the production of it, but the production of it and the consumption of it and the promotion of it and the normalization of it, I view as a gross social harm and an overstepping of progressive liberal live and let live fucking bullshit. And basically, this is the kind of shit that makes me want to go side with Christian nationalists. And if I was creating the content, that's what I would say. So you and I did not.
Let me ask you this. Let's say
the same thing.
Let's say that instead of doing what I did, let's say if I'd have said that I think even if it doesn't cause a harm, consuming it is bad because you're potentially a pedophile and you should seek help. If I'd have said that, would that be acceptable?
No, it wouldn't. Because what I would say, because basically you're saying that it's not producing a harm if it's just like created in the Stop.
When I say it's not producing a harm, what I mean by that is you drawing an image is not harming a child. However, you consuming it, you're indulging in a like pedophilic tendency potentially, is a sign of a deeper issue, and you should seek assistance.
I'm going deeper than that. So what I would say,
So you want me to do it, but with more moral outrage? Oh, it's bad, guys. It's really bad. That's basically what you're asking for. I did all that stuff that I just said, by the way. Right. So you're asking me to soy nod about it, essentially, to go, yep, it's very bad, guys. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
that's what I'm asking for.
So you want to signal trite sentiments of obvious virtue to the audience.
Obvious virtue. It's obvious now.
What do you mean? Yeah, of course. Of course it's obvious.
We're not swimming in like a fucking degenerate moral morass of fucking assholes who are pretending that this shit is like normal and okay. And by the way, hold on. But because I had this like fucking thought 20 seconds ago and we didn't get to finish it. I think the mere production of it, even if, let's say not you, but let's use a hypothetical person, a hypothetical person. If they have even an inkling of a pedophilic instinct and they draw that in their fucking attic by themselves, and then they just produce it and they look at it and they get turned on, I'm viewing that person as causing a harm to themselves.
But wait,
because they're indulging in something that is fucking abnormal, gross, weird, sexual shit.
But then I'm covering that. But wait, you can keep ranting if you want, but I've already covered that, haven't I? I've said if you consume it, that's the problem, right?
I'm not talking about consumption. I'm talking about production.
Okay, but here's the thing. You can produce that content as long as you don't distribute it and it sits on your desk and you're not aroused by it. Nothing's happened.
I disagree.
I think it's... Okay, so someone has drawn a picture. They're not aroused by it. They're not consuming it. It's sat on a desk.
Why
what's
the fuck
problem?
would you draw a picture of a fucking kid in a sexual situation if you weren't aroused by it?
Well, it doesn't matter why. They've done it. That's not about why they're doing it. It's to say...
Does this
that the
hypothetical
act of
person exist?
Well, it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is...
It does matter.
Well, of course, potentially someone could sit there, they could draw a picture of Lolicon and have it on their desk and not do anything with it, not distribute it, not look at it, not consume it, and not be turned on by it. That could happen, absolutely.
And no harm. Okay, and hold on.
So where's the harm there? Exactly.
So hold on. You're describing this a hypothetical that I think is wildly disconnected from reality.
How?
So there is a human being.
People draw things all the time that they don't do anything with it. They're not aroused by it. They don't distribute it. It sits on their desk. Maybe gets thrown away. Maybe gets burned. This happens all the time.
Okay. So I just want to, and this is my beef. So I'm happy we got to it. So there's a hypothetical human being out of the 7 billion human beings that exist on the world. They decide randomly one day to draw a picture of a child in a sexual situation, and they had no inkling, no inspiration. They're not indulging in any of their interests. They're not indulging in any of their own sexual temptations. They just create it out of the ether for no fucking reason.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's people that draw images of extreme violence that are not like a violent person, and they're not like...
And you don't think that they're not indulging or reinforcing a certain part of their brain?
Possibly, and maybe that's worth considering, but I think that that's very different to consuming it and being sexually aroused by it.
Okay, hold on, because this is what I hear when you say this. Okay,
yeah,
is I hear you giving a plausible moral vacuum for people to, like, it's like Max, right? Like Max Carson, where he's like, I can think whatever I want to think and you can't fucking control it. I don't agree with that. I think that like thought in and of itself, through like neuroplasticity in the reinforcement of ideas through thinking about things, you reinforce different parts of your brain. So if you what
is this based on? What are you basing this idea? You know, it's fine to talk about principles, but you're talking about the brain being affected. What are you basing? Okay, what is that based on exactly?
The concept of neuroplasticity, that basically when you think about something and you reinforce that thought process over and over again, it becomes a stronger part of your brain.
Okay. I mean, I guess I could understand that if you're talking about jerking off to it and being sexually aroused by it. I just don't think that drawing it in and of itself is the problem. It's the arousal.
I think you're wrong, and I think that's a beef, and I think you're creating a moral niche in which somebody could say, well, I heard Chud, talking about it the other day. I'm not really drawing this because I'm a fucking pedo and I'm interested in like looking at like naked kids' vaginas. So I'm going to draw a fucking 9-year-old girl who's fucking naked getting railed by some fucking dude. I'm not really into this shit. I'm just making it because it's popping up into my head and it has no effect on me whatsoever. There's no moral consequence to me doing this thing because I'm drawing it in an attic and eventually I'll just throw it away and it's not going to affect anybody whatsoever. I disagree with that. I think it's wrong. And I think that there's people who are in your audience who you would lose if you made a strong statement to that effect.
Right, okay. But the thing is, we clearly disagree on this, but you're saying that I'm not calling it out because I'm unwilling to criticize it, when my criticism is rooted in the idea that consuming it is the problem, and if you're consuming it, you should seek assistance, rather than just the act of drawing it in and of itself, which I don't personally think causes harm.
Okay. I think that your hypothetical human being who draws child pornography for no other iteration besides having ethereal, like passive thoughts in their mind that they just want to draw down, I don't think that person exists. Sure. I think that if you were to extrapolate this out to violence, then we could literally walk down how people engage in violence recreationally, and it reinforces different parts of their brain, and it's not going to be this like ethereal thing that there's an engagement in violence recreationally.
I'm just talking about someone drawing something, and I feel like you're super honing in on this to bring out this broad point where my basic principle is that the act of drawing something, of drawing anything in and of itself, does not directly cause like a harm. If you want to agree, I'd agree.
Even to the artist who's producing it.
I don't think so. No, I don't believe so. I think if
Okay.
they're
I think
aroused
you're
or turned
wrong
by,
based off of I think you're wrong based off of neuroplasticity. I think you're wrong.
Okay. I mean, I don't know much about this neuroplasticity thing, so it's something I'd have to look into.
It's literally just whatever you think you're going to reinforce into your own brain.
Right. Okay.
You are not disconnected. You are not a noose. You are not a spirit. You are not some floating ethereal collection of ideas. You are hardwiring attached to a biological machine, and that biological machine reproduces and reinforces itself based off of what you do and what you think.
Okay. I mean, have you got any material to look at that I can look at this further to kind of back up this
Sure.
idea
I mean,
that
I could.
drawing a picture of something reinforces something in your brain that leads you? I mean, okay, I guess the question would be this. So let's say we
Mhm.
agree on this idea of this neuroplasticity thing and it reinforces
Sure.
something in your brain. Someone draws the picture, they're not aroused
Mhm.
by it, they're not turned on by it, they then throw it away. Say, what's the issue?
I
What
would say
happens
that's
next?
I would say that's like a minimum that's on the scale of potential negative shit that can happen to human beings when it relates to naked children. That is on the scale of sin or crime or whatever. This is a 0.1
Right.
sin or harm. And then, of course, the next one would probably be like a 3, which would be drawing it, getting aroused by it, and destroying it.
So if
And
I'm
then a
getting
5.
okay.
Yep.
If I'm getting this straight, you're concerned with my comment, bearing in mind that I said if you consume it and you're turned on by it, it's likely you've got psychiatric needs. You need to get that help with that. But what I
Yeah,
should
which
have
is also
said,
not strong enough for me. But
so
yeah.
what I should have said is also don't draw it because it might at a 0.1 level reinforce something in your brain, and that
hmm
needs a strong moral condemnation in your opinion.
Yeah, it's like smoking a little bit of meth. You just don't fucking start. Or you're doing a little bit of coke or doing a little bit of fucking ecstasy or some shit. Like, although I get people fucking like ecstasy. But the point is, you don't go down that fucking road. And if anything, you carve out that piece of road as a no-go zone and you say, fuck that. That's a bad part of humanity. It's a part of humanity that we should leave in the past. It's a part of humanity that should be shunned at all possible opportunities. And I'm not going to indulge in any kind of a apologia for it. Yeah, absolutely. And then also, what I would say too, part of my objection, maybe this isn't a part of the original argument, but another part of my objection is you're like, oh yeah, well, and if you consume it, go get fucking psychiatric here. No, yeah, go get psychiatric help, but shut down that part of your fucking brain. Kill that fucking part of yourself. Destroy it. Burn it in
Okay,
fire. Shut
right.
it the fuck down.
So yeah, this is insane. Like that's the point of saying go just get
Why?
psychiatric help. Like you can't just
Do you think fucking psychiatrists tell you to fucking annihilate like different parts of yourself?
okay. How
This
do
is
you
all conservative thought
how do
processes
you
by
how
yourself.
do you annihilate something in your brain? Explain that to me. So let's say that I've done this.
Mhm.
Okay, actually let's use a real example. Food shops is there. Okay, they've consumed it
Mhm.
and they need to destroy that part in their brain. What's the steps of the process which you go through to do that?
Then literally they go see the psychotherapist or psychiatrist or whatever in order to help them out with their OCD or POCD or whatever the fuck. They get on their fucking meds or whatever in order to get themselves stable psychologically. They make a promise to themselves that they're not going to consume this content whatsoever for the rest of their fucking lives. And then they use friends and family or like trusted friends and family, because obviously a lot of people are going to shun you for doing this. But you find a trusted friend or family in order to hold you accountable. And you say, listen, I fucked up. I did this terrible thing. I don't want to repeat this process. I'm trying to destroy this part of myself. If I fuck up, I want to be able to tell you about it and confide in you because I want to eliminate this part of myself. And then also going back to neuroplasticity and reinforcing the brain through pattern and energy and exercise and all that kind of stuff is that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm not saying that you wouldn't have like let's say that you're a pedophile or like you're a non-offending pedophile or you're a fucking lolicon consumer or some shit like that. But by not indulging in it, over time, that part of your body is going to become weaker and weaker and weaker. And then also, God forbid you have fucking children. Let's say that you try to live a normal life outside of the shit and then you have children. I don't know exactly how like genetics and epigenetics works, where like, you know, sometimes environmental switches go off and all that kind of shit. But I have to assume that the person who reinforces for a lifetime their pedophilic impulses versus the person who neglects their pedophilic impulses for a lifetime, then the person who neglects their pedophilic impulses will have less likely of a chance of passing that on.
Well, wait a second. So hang on a minute. By like neglect pedophilic impulses, I mean, you're talking about switching off that part of the brain. To me, that would
Mhm.
be like, don't go and indulge in that kind of content,
Okay, that's
which
wonderful.
I said you
But
shouldn't
how do I
do.
make money off
So
depressing?
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't even
believe
carve out the
GTA
fucking
leads to
I wouldn't
killing
carve out the
hookers?
fucking niche of like you can produce it, just don't consume it, and if you don't get turned on, you're fine. I wouldn't create that. I
okay,
wouldn't
but
create
wait,
any
wait.
moral
When did I
ambiguity
wait?
about that.
Wait. When did I say
Mhm.
like? I don't think I'm saying like you can produce it or it's like a good thing to produce it. I'm just highlighting that in my perspective, the drawing it isn't the issue. Obviously, we disagree on that. You've got this neuroplasticity thing. You know, I don't know how accurate that is to what I'm talking about, but
But even think about that. Like think about that there's a teenager, okay? Let's say that there's a 13-year-old Chud viewer fan, okay? The bullied gay kid who wants your signature because they have fucking cancer or whatever. They're fucking watching Chud Logic, and then they have like some random fucking like lolicon impulses or whatever. They see some fucking douchebag on Discord fucking talking about it, and then they hear that their favorite fucking person, Chud Logic, doesn't give a fuck about whether or not they draw it. They just care whether or not they fucking get erect from it, and then they're fucking like, oh well, fuck it, I'll just draw some fucking naked kids. Like what
But
the
the thing
fuck?
is,
Why wouldn't you just say
you're putting a
don't
lot on
fucking
this
do that?
idea. Like, I don't give a fuck about someone drawing it. Okay, I'm just saying
Is that not what you just said?
No, I don't think I've ever said I don't give a fuck about someone drawing it. Like, as in, it's a completely irrelevant thing. I'm just saying that the act of drawing it in and of itself, presuming no attraction or arousal, is not necessarily an issue, right? I'm not sat here going, oh yeah, go and draw Lolicon if you want. Like, if you were to ask me, I'd say, yeah, probably best to avoid even drawing it just to be on the safe side. But I don't think that's the issue really. The issue is the fact that you're consuming it and getting aroused by it. You're focusing in on this statement when my position on the drawing of it is more of like a free speech concept that just drawing something in and of itself isn't a problem.
Yeah. This is one of the things that makes me more conservative than you. Yeah, I think you're wrong.
Okay, well that's fine. But
I don't think it's neutral.
It's quite clear that then there's a disagreement fundamentally with our view on this, which is fine. You coming at it from a more maybe Christian conservative ethical perspective or whatever. I don't know what the fucking philosophication is, but you're putting it on me that I'm worried about calling it out because I'm scared of my audience consuming Lolicon and I don't want to call it out for that reason when that clearly isn't the case.
Well, let me position that a little bit differently, okay? So I don't think that you're typically afraid of going to war with your audience, right? I also don't think that you're scared of banning people, right? If somebody's being a douchebag, if somebody's being an asshole, if they're overly criticizing you, if they're telling you to do less commentary or more commentary or whatever, I've seen you get pissed off in a fucking fit and be like, fuck you, get the fuck out of my fucking place. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and help you out. Up there's an X in the top right fucking hand of your corner. Go fuck yourself. And
normally
then on top of that,
them,
I'll help you out.
Normally I unban them because I don't like to keep people banned. Like if they're really annoying,
that's pussy shit. You should fucking leave them banned anyways. The point being that like I don't typically associate with you with being afraid of pissing people off in your own chat. Okay, so if that felt like the accusation, that's not my accusation. What I am saying is that if you were to moral frog, which are you on Twitch?
Yeah. Be cautious
right now.
Moral frog.
Okay, I won't say it, but frog. People know what I'm saying, right? The other one, that commentary people like to use, which has come back into my vocabulary because of commentary people. Fuck you, Nick Diorio. So the point being that you don't want to, my perception, is you don't want to moral frog about an issue as much as I am, because there are people of your audience who are saying, I'm here for a good time. It's all just content at the end of the day. I'm not trying to have some fucking moral grandstanding fucking dickhead tell me what to think about what. I'm just here for the fucking shit posts in the walls.
Hang on. You're fundamentally misunderstood something about me talking about it in that way. Okay, because that wasn't actually necessary. I mean, I said it to my audience, but when I said I'm not the moral police, that was more aimed at like other creators, because what I'm saying is I'm not like a cancellation guy. If you want to associate with this person, that's up to you. You should do what you think is best. I personally wouldn't. I'm not going to morally judge you for that, but you know, it's the ball's in your court whether or not you want to associate.
Yeah, and if you were freaking the fuck out, like I'm not going to freak out on other creators either, because frankly, I think that part of what drags people out of bad behavior is having people who are understanding of their bad behavior and try to drag them out of it. So if somebody was going to be nice to food shops and they're like, "Hey, listen, this part of you is fucked up, but I'm going to keep talking to you because I'm going to try to talk to you about why it's fucked up. So hopefully you stop doing this shit and promoting this shit in the future." I wouldn't judge that person. But if somebody was helping them to promote that idea, then absolutely I would moral frog out 100%. And I also think that there would be members of my audience, if I was in the commentary space, that would be turned off by me moral frogging because they're just here for the memes and milking lol cows. They're not here for the moral indictments and the fucking holier than thou conservative bullshit.
Yeah,
You're just saying that you actually believe it. That's the problem, is that you're saying that you're not going to moral frog, but you're not going to moral frog because you do fundamentally believe in free speech and you do want to give people latitude to enjoy content without a bunch of moral frogging about it.
I think you're just looking at it like too deeply. Like I do to a degree moral frog, like of course, but like my way of doing it is the statement that I made. It feels like, I feel like I've done enough to satisfy what I think is making it clear about my position. But you're saying, no, do it my way because, I believe in this way of doing it and I think that way is correct. And obviously we just disagree about that.
Yep. Sure. And I think that is correct. I think we understand each other.
Okay. But why did you, I just feel like the way you presented it, especially like you were insinuating that there was a proportion of my audience that consume Lolicon. I don't know, man. That seems excessive and unreasonable. I'm more concerned about my audience than me, to be honest. Yeah. What percentage of my audience do you think consume Lolicon?
1%?
Right.
Half a percent?
Right. Sure.
Yeah, you're not out here promoting it. I just think that like in the free, and let me justify this as well. I was relatively speaking boys with Max. You were relatively speaking boys with Max for a while. And I think that despite his transgressions against thought and his free speech, I can think whatever I want to think, blah, blah, blah. I think that we found him transgressive and interesting and insightful, even if we thought he was wrong. But he did create space for actual non-offending pedophiles and pedophiles to feel like they weren't being vilified, and as a result, feel like they had a free space to talk about their temptations and issues and all that kind of bullshit. And they also felt like it was, relatively speaking, a safe space. And so traveling parallel to that community for a healthy chunk of time and being as close to Max as you were, I'm assuming there was some audience, crossover, and maybe a few of them ignored or even liked your more dramatic flair. And so they stuck around. And then also, Spicy Chat, to my knowledge, I'm not trying to talk to them like there's some like evil cabal, but it's a fucking free fire zone. It's a free fire zone of do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's within Discord terms of service. And as a result, you're going to have 0.5% or 1% of people who are, at minimum, Lolicon consumers.
I mean, look, I'm not in there all the time. I'm in there a fair bit to see what's going on. I just think that the tone of that chat, if someone was to say they enjoy Lolicon or something like that, they're likely to be quite heavily mocked for that position rather than it be, oh, let's hear you out and let's talk about what's going on. But yeah, I mean, in principle, sure, there could be someone who's a full-blown pedo and they're talking about it and stuff, but I just think that the majority of people are going to kind of be very much against that if they were to talk about it.
And I think that because the limited crossover from Mr. Girl's audience, the free fire nature of Spicy Chat, the free fire nature of your perspective on speech and thought, you're going to attract a few of those people. And those people, because they know they're likely to be dogpiled, they're probably going to say, like, I don't see what the big deal is, specifically with like production of Lolicon. And then when somebody's like, well, do you think the consumption of it is good? They're going to be like, nah. They're going to be like, meh. They're going to give some fucking lukewarm take. And what I would say to that person is I would moral frog at them. I'd be like, you're fucking wrong. It's not ambivalent. It's not neutral. It is bad.
So, okay. Lolicon bad, guys. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like, okay.
Yes.
Is that literally it? I guess,
unironically, yes. Giga Chad that fucking shit. Fuck yeah. Lolicon bad.
Actually,
don't consume.
Wait.
Bad for you.
You've
bad
got
for your
a
soul.
fundamental misunderstanding of what the Giga Chad meme means. It's not supposed to be an expression of like obvious sentiment, like pedophilia bad. I don't know. It's just like I just personally feel that an expression of like a trite sentiment like that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you do hold on. This is something that you and I also disagree on. The fucking obvious sentiment does stand reinforcement, especially when it's being eroded by shitbags. So you're, at least this is my view of the past 20 seconds of our interaction. You're saying, oh, this is so obvious. Everybody already knows this shit. Why the fuck would I even do it? And for me, that also opens up the fucking space for it's like, no, this is not something that's supposed to be eroded. This is not supposed to be something that's like fucking even remotely taken for granted at 1 second. If you want to take for granted whether or not we speak Spanish or English in the United States of America, I don't give a fuck. Whether or not like young people should be ambivalent about the consumption of child pornography is not something that you should be ambivalent about. And just because it's a common sentiment doesn't mean you shouldn't reinforce it.
Sure, I feel like, yeah, there's some people that talk about it, and I think some people come at it from more of a free speech perspective, and that does go to like the consumption side, and you know, there's a line there, and I don't really like that necessarily, but I think the vast majority of perspective and views on this across like the country, I mean, possession of it is illegal in the UK, it's federally illegal, I believe, in the US. I just think that society generally is so heavily weighted against it, I just don't really feel the need to like go super hard to reinforce that.
Okay. Considering the amount of other things that I see sliding, you know, you've talked about this cycle or whatever, which is, what is it? It's not happening. It's happening a little bit, but you don't understand it. Okay, it's happening, but it's good. And so maybe prevailing normal conservative sentiment will be strong enough that pedophilia or lolicon consumption or fucking whatever will remain degenerate for the rest of history. Okay. Inshallah, God willing, that's what's going to happen. Okay. But I also see food shops, you know, very nice person, very pleasant to speak to, et cetera, et cetera. But I see them trying to start the normalization trend. And I'm seeing them trying to advocate, not with medical backing or study backing, because I don't think there would be a study in fucking hell that would get financially backed, but I see them talking about how they self-treated their POCD.
How's that going for them? Remind me, what's the public response been to that?
Overwhelmingly negative.
Right, but you want me to reinforce that further and say, "Oh, guys, just to remind you."
You don't have to. You can say humegalol and fucking keep it moving. I don't give a fuck about that. But also, I think it's perfectly fine if you say humegalol, you know, don't consume it, but production of it, as long as you don't get aroused by it, is a sinless crime, or it's a harmless crime, or a crime without a victim. I think it's insufficient for me, and I do think that if you took a moral frog position such as myself, you would lose a few viewers. And that's what I said, and I stand by it.
Well, no, that's not what you said at all. You said that you think that people in the audience consume Lolicon, not produce it, consume Lolicon, and I'm unwilling to criticize it for that reason. When we've decided that's not the case because we disagree fundamentally with whether or not drawing it causes adequate harm to criticize it as strongly as you think it needs to be criticized.
I think that if you came out and you moral frogged as hard as I did, you would lose 2 or 3 viewers or a half dozen viewers. Yeah, I think that would happen. And maybe some of those people contribute to you. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, okay, like I don't know, man. Like, I would look to like maybe another time where I've made a much stronger argument about it, to the point of like pissing off people that do the thing. So weed, for example, I've had very strong takes about weed in the past. People in chat have been extremely pissed off at me, mad at me, the weed smokers, and I don't really know if it's like meaningfully affected me, to the point where I'm.
Weed is a little bit less. Yeah, weed is a little bit less personal. So I think it's sexuality is wildly personal.
I don't know, man. I just think this. I mean, if that's kind of what you want to walk away with, that's fine. I just feel like, you know, you're not quite as strong on the position as I think you did when you said it, because you hadn't seen my full take on it, and now you're trying to fit this idea that I didn't criticize it to your level into this. I don't know. Like, it's fine, we can talk about it, but you accept that like what you said wasn't really accurate as to what my exact position is, right?
Sure. And I actually think, but then it uncovers like another problem that I have. So what you said is the reason why you didn't moral frog about this is because you are more for free speech on it, and you do think that it is a victimless crime, and you think that it.
No, I didn't. Okay, the reason in that moment,
I'm not talking about lolicon consumption. I'm talking about production. We've already said this 10 times.
No. The reason I didn't do that is because I didn't want to put it on strongly to be like, I'm trying to counter this person, and this person has done something morally egregious. Sure. It was softer so people could have space to do what they wanted with it. But then I went on to say that, this is what I would take issue with. The production, sure, we can disagree about how much that impacts someone who's just drawing it. But the consumption or the arousal, that is what I take issue with. And that seems to be a bigger issue that you've got with it too, rather than just the production. The consumption is the key thing that needs to be criticized and called out, which I've done.
And I disagree. I think even carving out that tiny little bit of breathing space for production it's not enough for me. It's not enough for me. And if you moral frogged as hard as I did about it, I think you would lose some viewers.
Maybe I would.
Maybe that's not your motivation.
Sure, but then the point
that's not your motivation.
I'm not thinking. But the thing is, I'm not thinking in my head, I've got to be careful how I criticize this, and I've got to leave room for people to draw it because otherwise I'm going to lose 12 viewers. Like, I just would. That's not in my head when I'm saying it. I'm just trying to think about my principles and apply it correctly, as I always try to do when I'm talking to my community.
But okay, sure. Let's concede that. Let's cement that. Okay. That's set in stone. Let me ask you a different question. Do you hold back on projecting your morality onto your audience because you've backed away from the Twitch and YouTube political sphere, where oftentimes the attraction is people militantly taking their principles and fucking lambasting their audience with it, because you said, fuck this. This is actually not productive. It's barely affecting the real world whatsoever. At the end of the day, it's just money and content. And as a result, I am not going to project my morality onto my audience as hard as I used to, because I'm just here for the drama and the lulz.
Okay, but I think I don't think that's true, because I do project my morality onto my audience when I talk about a topic. But what I tend not to do is, if I personally feel like a sentiment is obvious enough, I will often not feel the need to reinforce that. And when appropriate, and if I think it's acceptable, I might even make jokes about it to the alternative. So obviously, I think racism is bad, but I'm not going to say that to my audience, because my audience knows that's what I think internally. And in most of them, probably 80% at this point, also agree with that. But I will play with racist jokes and memes with that in mind.
But Chud, I watch you because you're racist. What the fuck?
No, but that's the point, isn't it?
You're been a meme this whole time. I'm so fucking
You're tapping into it now, because if I was to come on and to go, guys, look, I think that these videos that I'm seeing online that are singling out black people engaging in violence and calling this, that, and the other, I think that's really bad. You shouldn't single people out. That would be me projecting my morality onto my audience. But that's kind of boring, so I don't want to do that. So I go, we got another video. Race redacted and committing crimes again. What's going on here? That's the fun part. That's the funny part, because it plays with that. But if I just projected morality on my audience, it would be a fucking boring stream.
Do you want to open up race realism now? Because here's the thing, is I feel like watching your previous content, I think what happened, this is an exterior perception as a consumer of Chud Nation content, is that you were pretty progressive and pretty lefty for a really long time. And Twitch politics 2 years ago was annoyingly progressive, where you always had to soy nod to everything all the fucking time, right?
Cool.
And so it feels like you had a reflexive kickback, I would say probably within the past year. One, where you reoriented to drama, but then two, you also just wanted to say what the fuck you wanted to say. So if you wanted to use a certain slur, if it was ableist or homophobic or sexist or racist or whatever, if you could get away with it on the terms of service on the platform that you were part of, then you would do it. And then not only that, but you were also willing to explore subjects that were taboo to the more woke side of Twitch poll 2 years ago, right? And so what'll happen is, I think I've heard you do this, you have explored the more fucked up parts of black crime statistics and fucking race realism and immigration and, you know, Islamic jihadism and all that kind of bullshit. But what you'll do at the tail end of saying, like, descriptively, all this stuff is fucked up, you know, right wingers and centrists in my audience who are not progressive. But I think that the way you address these things is through, you know, lefty legislation and policy that I actually believe in. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, okay. I just feel like you said a lot of stuff there. The point I'm making is very simple, okay? You were saying to me, Chud, you have become a content nihilist and you have backed away from, you know, putting your morals onto your audience. And the point I'm making to you very clearly is if I did that and I was moralistic about things, I would lose a lot of the energy that you obviously find entertaining in my streams, because I wouldn't be able to, you know, as often maybe do some of the memes. I would have to go, guys, listen, I think that racism is bad and I don't think that you should do this, or, you know, trans people deserve to be treated as humans, da da da. Like, you're taking away the energy that makes my stream good off the back of me not criticizing the drawing of Lolicon to the 1% of people that might think it's acceptable. It just feels like a crazy sacrifice to make, where I've got to go back to more hardcore moralizing to my audience, but then I lose the energy that makes my streams entertaining.
You don't have to, but then I feel like my criticism, relatively speaking, stands where hardcore moralizing makes your stream less fun.
Yes, of course it does.
I mean, you just said it.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, sure. So I'm saying sometimes you got to take a fucking hit in order to be a moral frog.
And sometimes I do.
That's it.
Sometimes
Great.
I do. Okay.
I feel like in this instance you didn't, to the degree that I thought was good. That's it.
Okay. Wow.
That's what I said.
In mind. I think it was adequate. You think it's inadequate? If I ever talk about Lolicon
and
again,
you don't have to live up to my standards.
Okay.
You can do your fucking. It's okay to fucking produce Lolicon as long as your dick doesn't get hard. You can think that, and I'll think you're wrong.
Okay. Anyway, we've been talking for like an hour. Let's wrap it up. Anything?
All right, hold on.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we can wrap it up. Was there anything? So I didn't watch it because I can't watch content about myself. Like it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. Was there? I think reporters in the field just said that you called me stupid a whole bunch of times.
Okay.
Was there any spicier memes, any deeper cuts, any funnier comments that you would like to go over?
So I think at one point there's two main ones, I think. So one is I referred to you as a former mall cop.
Okay. That's okay. It cut deep, but me and Straighterator are boys now, and I called her a cunt to her face, so it's okay. That doesn't cut as deep as it used to. Okay.
Yeah, because I remembered that from before. Okay, so the second one was, I think I said something along the lines of, you know, have you got CTE from a bullet hitting your helmet when you were in the military?
Which is actually just correct. So those are fair.
Those are probably you know. To be honest with you,
those are both fair. Those are fair. Okay, like they're fair comments. So yeah, and like honestly, like sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes I listen back to things I say and I'm like, oh God, that was a bit much, wasn't it? But, you know, I'm sure people in my audience think it wasn't far enough.
That's why I watch it. You fucking, there was something, there was some drama that I watched like literally half a dozen times. I'm not even joking. And what was funny about it is like for the first 5 minutes, you're listening to yourself saying like the most like vile, cruel shit. And you're like, whoa, like that's a little bit rough. And I was like, no, but I really enjoyed that original content. So don't dial it back. So yeah, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So like if you said that I'm fucking a little bit retarded because I have fucking brain damage, which is probably fucking true, and I'm very sensitive about my service, so I want everybody to know that I did really hardcore and interesting shit, and I wasn't some fucking pussy, then those are both accurate criticisms while wrapped up in memes. So it's fine.
Also, there's one more thing as well. This is more broad.
Sure.
I thought of this earlier. I thought of it between streams. I said it earlier. But I think if you said, if you've got like these thoughts, you should probably go and seek out some religious help. And I said, you know, the problem is you need to be careful about which specific church you go to, because you might actually be welcomed with open arms.
Okay. If I was Catholic, then I might, or Catholic, or what's another one? Who else diddles kids besides a
Muslim.
Catholic?
No, wait, sorry. No, all Muslims, obviously. Just like the Rotherham scandal. The Rotherham scandal in the UK. They were abusing kids.
Yeah. It was the Catholics. It was the Christians. No Muslims. No Muslims have ever diddled kids ever. Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, we saved it. We almost lost it there, but we saved it.
But
okay,
no,
I'm
listen,
good.
Obviously, there's certain spicier elements in my community. Some of them like you,
Yeah.
some of them don't. I've always gotten on with you, so I've never had a problem between us.
I'm never gonna intentionally burn the Chud bridge. But what I would say too, I know we want to put a nice little bow on it so we can like put it into a segment and call it, right? But I do want to say, like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if I'm in the fucking audience, like, cheering for the blood of your victims, and then I catch a little bit of heat, I can't cry. I can cry, but it'll be hypocritical of me if I do, and I recognize that before it happens. And then two, I would say that I will never knowingly try to step on your dick, but I also feel like I have held back like a healthy chunk of my opinions sometimes in order to be nice to people. And at this point, with kind of like, I know you're a little bit established. I'm a little bit established more on the Warhammer side than the politics side. I'm kind of tired of holding back. Like, I just want to say what's in my brain. And if that steps on somebody's dick, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I understand. I get it. I mean,
Okay.
I was, it was, to be honest with you, it was more fun just reacting to it and getting a bit annoyed. It's not like I wasn't sat there thinking, oh my God, Connor's audience is going to think this about me. It was more just, good to talk about it,
Yeah. It's like, hey, he said some fucked up shit about me that I don't agree with. Fuck this guy. It's fine. Happens.
Okay. Well,
all right, so
yeah, go on.
Well, to you guys you do more Twitch and YouTube poll than I do. So I'm going to shout myself for you because I'm a guest on your stream and
Go for it.
I
Yeah.
want your viewers. Yeah, so my name's Connor. You might have seen me around. I run a YouTube channel named Counterpoints 40K. Mostly I break down Warhammer 40K. That's 95% of my views. That's 95% of my revenue. But I also like to engage in the Twitch and YouTube poll space. Used to be on a whole bunch of panels with Chud back in the day, back when the panel scene was a little bit hotter. Nowadays, I'm just kind of like randomly haphazardly fighting with people. So if you're into more centrist, moral frogging, right-wing sympathetic bullshit, if you like cop shit, if you like military veteran shit, come check it out. It's good to go. Just type in Counterpoints 40K into the YouTubes and you'll find me.
Great. And there's a new game coming out in there, Space Marine, with that fellow.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to do co-op or multiplayer, then I would absolutely fucking get down on that shit. We could literally xenophobically slaughter millions of aliens together while screaming anti-alien slurs. I would be down for that.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, hopefully we'll speak again soon.
All right. Take it easy, champ.
Bye-bye.